Dante Exum, welcome in. It's been a big off-season for you. You've signed again with the Dallas Mavericks. You're over in Venice Beach, I think it is at the moment, your little off-season haunt.
Yeah, I'm putting all my effort into my work, so just making sure I'm focused on everything, getting on the court. But yeah, I'll get a haircut soon when everyone sees me.
What's your off-season been like so far? Because we know that, I assume that everyone knows you're a pretty big gamer. You're still working hard in the gym, but it's been a pretty injury-free off-season. You've been able to be on the court for a majority of the time.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just trying to take some time. The last two years has just been a roller coaster with World Cup and then Olympics with the NBA seasons going all the way to the finals. And then this year's probably been the first time I've been off for a period of time, since April. So I think the biggest thing is just getting my body right and making sure, I'm ready for a full season.
What's that mix like for you guys when you have, because we were just saying before, the off seasons for the NBA guys feel long. It feels like Josh Giddey has been in Melbourne for 6 months now. Dyson Daniels, you still haven't come home. You've been locked in over there. But what's that?
I've been lucky. Yeah, it's a weird balance. I think when I was in my first couple of years, it was just training throughout the whole summer. But I think it's just kind of learning a balance, and that's the biggest thing I've done, this season, this off season, just trying to make sure I'm on court, just getting my body right in the gym. And then it's just like a slow build up with shots, and then the conditioning, just so I don't burn myself out. Cause once we're in it, we're thrown in the deep end, and, it's games and practice and travel. So I think trying to keep my mind fresh as possible and body fresh.
Have you been over to Dallas yet to be able to get some workouts in? Have you been able to experience the Cooper Flag effect yet? Have you noticed any just sort of, I don't know, has anything changed once you draft a guy like that of that sort of caliber and all the media attention that goes with it? Has been anything else change along with that?
I haven't been to Dallas yet. We're going to have a mini camp out here soon in the start of September. So that will kind of be my first experience. But I'm sure there's definitely some buzz, after last season and how we kind of, just obviously the shocks of the season and the not making playoffs and just the amount of injuries that we had. So I think there's this excitement about returning to playoffs and kind of what we know we can do.
Life after Luka. It's going to be wild. How it all worked out is wild. But we're here to talk about your time in Europe because, of course, Partizan coming up with Olympiacos, going to be playing in Melbourne and Sydney against the Adelaide 36ers and Sydney Kings. It's going to be an unbelievable event. You played what I think, as a fan of you watching, was some of the most fun basketball that I've ever seen you play when you played for Partizan. We'll start off when you first signed there. When you first went over to Europe, you played in Barcelona. What was it like there as opposed to Serbia? What were the major differences between those two sort of playing styles and environments?
Yeah, I think, going over to Barcelona was my first, taste of European basketball. And my first weekend, my first game actually was the El Clasico against Madrid. So that was, thrown in the deep end. And then we were traveling. We were off to, I think we went to Tenerife, then we went to Greece, and actually we went to Red Star, Partizan's rivals. So that was just an experience in itself, and just kind of learning about European basketball, the difference in play. It's, very similar to FIBA, and just a lot of, play calls, controlling the game. And then after my time at Barcelona, I had a decision, and I'd heard so much, of Serbian basketball, through our friend Mirko, and he loved Partizan, and they called me, and I'd heard a bit about Joko Obradovic, and just kind of the father of European head coaches, whatever you call him. So I heard a bit about him. I heard he was a bit of a psycho, but so I took that with a grain of salt, and, I kind of threw myself into it. And, once I was over in Belgrade, it was, all about the team, all about learning, all about, what we could do to achieve. They hadn't won an ABA league, which is a league they play in, other than EuroLeague. They hadn't won that in, I think, 10 years. So that was our main goal going over there. And, it's something you can't explain, the the passion of the fans. They're not even fans at this point. I think the part of the partisan people, it's their life. They love it. The club is their blood. And, I saw that once we won, and I have people coming up to me, kissing me, crying. And it's just, I think over the course of a year, I learned how much it meant to them. And, I think that's why you see so many players that have played at Partizan that still love the club. I think there's a EuroLeague player, Geoffrey Laverne. He has a Partizan tattoo and he's playing for other clubs. But I think everyone would want to, continue to still play for Partizan.
You mentioned that you took it with a grain of salt that the coach was a psycho. At what point did you realize that maybe, the coach could be a psycho?
It was very early. It was preseason. We were in a little Serbian village called Čačak, and we lost to a team that I think they were going to be in the Alba League, but they were not a high level team, and we lost. And he let us know who he was and how he was going to be for the year. And that was like, I said to myself, what am I doing? What am I doing? But I can admit, there was a lot of ups and downs of the season, but at that point it was like, okay, yeah, I'm fully in it. And I made a decision to myself. It's like, I'm just going to accept it. Like, obviously, he just has a high standard of everybody. And yeah, but that was definitely the time.
Do you think some of the guys in the NBL would cope with a spray that some of these European coaches deliver?
Oh, no. I think, and I think half of what I heard wasn't even in English. So, the rest was in Serbian, and he would apologize when he was going off at a Serbian player, he would apologize to us and say, hey, I need to say this in Serbian. And he would just go off and then turn back. And then I'd go to an assistant coach. What did he say? And he's like, you don't know. You don't want to know what he said.
Oh man, some of the best stories from basketball come from people like your experiences. Dave Anderson has that many stories. I don't think he has long enough life to be able to tell them all as well. Some of the crazy stuff that happens over there. Partizan versus Red Star is just this unbelievable rivalry. And I know how crazy it is because I once posted an anti-Red Star comment because you were playing for Partizan, and I still get people replying to it on one of your posts to this day. I get notifications calling me a dog and doing all this sort of stuff. So you mentioned they're not fans. There's some other beast. What's that game environment like when you walk into what could be in world sport, in basketball especially, one of the fiercest rivalries?
Yeah, I think the whole day is kind of the build up, the shoot around. It's a different energy on that day. And then, whether it's when we had our home games, definitely a different energy outside the arena. And I'd pull up to the arena and I could see, just all the fans out. And when you drive through and they're like cheering you, like, come on, like, and it's just like nervous, like, come on, like, and then as soon as you're in the arena and you're running out, it's just a loud roar. And then when Red Star comes out, it's just the biggest boo you've heard in your life. And I think, for the Serbian players, that I know they're more nervous than any other game. And they told me, and, for me, obviously it was just another game, but I think over the year, it just became to mean more and more. And it wasn't that I was just trying to win for myself. I wanted to win for the fans. Every time we lost, I felt a little bit of disappointment, extra disappointment, because I let the fans down, and they were always good and had our back. I think we lost our first EuroLeague game against Red Star at home, and it was a shot they hit at the end, and we were just in a bad spot in the season. And I remember we came into one of the Alba League games and some of the fans started booing us. And then the grobbery, like our fans, like the fanatics, you call them, they stopped that straight away. And they're like, no, because I think the biggest thing about the Partizan fans is if we're trying and we're, representing, the black and white, with pride and just fighting, they love us for that. So.
What's the major difference between like an NBA crowd where sometimes you can get bigger numbers than you get a European game and one of these European crowds?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I feel like the NBA always tried to ask me that definitely during the playoffs, and I said, "Hey, come on." I'm all about China, I want to say the right thing, but it's just you can't compare, and you truly can't. Yeah, it's from tip off. It's not even from tip off. It's from the moment you run out, the moment you're warming up, doing the shoot around at the arena, to like an hour after the game, they're still chanting. They're still, I know when we beat Red Star at Red Star, and our fans couldn't leave the arena, and they wait out there, and we can hear them. We're in the locker room, and we can hear them, and they're just cheering and chanting. And then probably 45 minutes after all the Red Star fans have gone out, we come out and we start chanting with them. So I think it's a different environment, and it's uncomparable.
Who was the guy? Was it Jokic that said they asked him about being in you were playing in a hostile place? He goes, brother.
Played in Serbia, brother.
Played in Serbia, brother. Was there ever a time, because I think this is some of the stuff that people will be surprised when they come to these games, that they haven't experienced European basketball before, that there's such a Serbian and Greek population in Australia that a lot of these fans will, they'll be giving the same sort of atmosphere at these games, or as close as they can be to what they would be. They're that passionate over there. Was there any times where you sort of felt like it'd get a bit out of control? Like I know there was the one incident on court with Yabusele, the famous one where that fight happened. When was that probably the main incident where you were like, okay, this has gone too far?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, after that, I think, going back to us fighting on court for them, they were prepared to fight off court for us. And after that game, the Madrid had I would say, a legitimate reason to want police escorts and to be, and then that game, that game was a little bit weird when they came, just because of other stuff that happened in Serbia. But yeah, they were ready to fight for us in other ways. So, yeah, they just love it so much, and they want to get behind the team and want to see us succeed, that it just instills it in us.
Where do you rank your time in Serbia playing for Partizan? You've done a lot throughout your basketball career. Like, you probably put your under 17 Australian stuff at the top of it when we played alongside each other. But where would you rank Partizan, that time over there, across your entire basketball journey, including going to the finals in the NBA?
Yeah, man, it's up the top, if not the top. I think it's an experience, and I tell this to a lot of guys now, even, guys that aren't making the NBA, and just go experience it, go live in Europe, go play for a team like that. And I think, even, like Chima, for example, he's over playing at Red Star, which I did not condone, but I don't know what Partizan are doing, but he's going to the rival. So, but I think it's more and more guys. They're getting really good teams now because guys see, the quality of basketball, the quality of the fans, and people don't understand that Belgrade's actually a great city to live in, and it's super safe. So.
And I'm worried for Chima, because we both know what Chima's like. He's the sort of dude that is going to rile up the fans during the game and still go out to the nightclub after the game in that city. So I'm not sure whether going to Red Star is the smartest.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love him if he's on your team. You're gonna hate him if you're against him.
And I hope he doesn't learn the hard way throughout that. Hey, so of course the Sydney Kings and the Adelaide 36ers are going to play against both Olympiacos and Partizan. How do you think those teams are going to match up against that style of European basketball?
Yeah, it's good. I'm actually super interested. I can't wait to watch the games. I think a lot of the times we always talk about this style of basketball and how it's different going from, the US to Europe to FIBA. But you never actually get a taste of it going from, Australian basketball and how we kind of match up against a European team. We get the NBA games and But the European aspect is going to be, very interesting. I think it's going to be tough. But these, Adelaide's put a great roster together. Sydney's put a great roster together. So, they're definitely going to give, them trouble for sure. It's going to be, I definitely think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, Bryce Cotton's going to be the interesting one for me. We always talk about how good he is in import. This is his chance, to put himself up against some of those best non-NBA imports out there in the world. But if you do want to get tickets to these games, Thursday, 18th of September at John Cain Arena, Panathinaikos taking on Partizan. It was Olympiacos last time. It was Panathinaikos and Partizan taking on the Sydney Kings, Panathinaikos and the Adelaide 36ers on Sunday, 21st of September. It's going to be unbelievable. Do you reckon there's any way that you could see yourself one day playing again for Partizan?
Well, look, I took this from when we won the Upper League. So, I think my goal is playing, NBA and, that's where I am now and, trying to, keep it that way. But I think I want to, no, it's so many good memories. I don't want to disrupt them, but, I think if it's the right situation and the right, time and a need for me, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, one day we'll do a longer form podcast and we'll get into some of those crazy stories as well that I've heard from your time over there. It's been unbelievable. Dante, thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to these games.
Appreciate it.